We now take you here where Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chiloane has revealed that over 200 schools in the province have been identified as high risk when it comes to safety. Chiloane made the revelation at the department's School Safety Imbizo in Tshwane today. The Imbizo brings together parents, the education sector, law enforcement and community leaders to find sustainable solutions to ensuring the safety of learners and educators. Newzroom Afrika's Veronica Makhoali is tracking the story and joins us now. Veronica, it's absolutely incredible to understand that as many as I think they pointed out 200 was a number that was given by MEC Matome Chiloane. Just talk to us about possible solutions that may have been discussed at this Imbizo.
Yeah, Hugo, certainly it is a shocking number with the Basic Education Department here, the Gauteng Education Department, describing it as high-risk schools, the total number being 245 of those. And these imbizos that the MEC has been on has been something that the department has been doing to make sure that they can understand essentially what some of the areas are facing and how specifically to address the needs of those specific schools. He also mentioned that in Tshwane alone, there are about 75 schools that they have labeled as being in the red. I am joined by the MEC now just to give us a bit of a breakdown of essentially what that classification means. MEC, thank you so much for your time. 245 schools that are high risk in the province, 75 here in Tshwane that are labeled as being in the red. Can you just detail for us what classifies these schools as being high risk and what are some of the common trends and themes you're finding that schools are battling with when it comes to safety?
Yeah, let me quickly clarify the numbers. Tshwane is 47, and in the red, obviously, I think there are about 10, 12. 75 is the whole province, the whole of Gauteng. But the classification is informed by quite a number of factors, from where they are actually located, the community, the state of the community. Which is, for instance, there's high gangsterism in the area, there's high crime in the area, concerns, and obviously the statistics we get from the SAPS, the police station, but also the reports that we get from the school, learner discipline, the number of bullying cases we are dealing with in the school, vandalism, very important in the school, the burglary that happens within the school. So the general safety and well-being, the feedback that we get from the school, and the schooling community, the educators and the learners, then we classify it as in the red. But otherwise, those are the parameters that we look at. But as when we resolve them, we move them to different categories, to amber, and then to ultimately green.
We were listening to some of the, difficulties that parents and staff, teachers, as well as community members are raising in terms of being able to run schools effectively. And one of the big ones was, of course, police visibility, something, of course, that you also mentioned to say that there needs to be a lot more work done by the SAPS. Can you just walk us through what it is that the Education Department is calling on its policing counterpart to do?
Yes, definitely. I've raised it with the Provincial Commissioner as well. And he has made an indication. Unfortunately, the Brigadier today confirmed that that issue has been communicated. So from immediately there should be this particular police visibility. They have the schools. All you have to do is to go and check is if they're actually doing it. The importance of police visibility, it goes a long way. It's a deterrent. It also gives a sense of safety to educators and learners, that this school is actually prioritized by SAPS, by law enforcement for greater assessment or oversight, if I can use for lack of a better word. So that's what we want. So we want them in the morning, we want them after school. After school is important because that's when most school violence takes place, because kids go out, they start going fight. Most of the stabbing cases that we've been dealing with, that you would know that we've gone, the child is stabbed, he passed on. All the time, they're stabbed outside, just outside the school, because of that. So we know that once they see the police van there, or police vehicle, I'm certain that it will act as a deterrent. And those who are in danger, they can actually go to that particular police vehicle and say, look, I might be in trouble, they're going to hurt me. Then the police need to do their duty. And that's what we're appealing for. And fortunately, they've spoken and they've confirmed today that they are actually going to start doing it. So ultimately, I want to push them to all the schools, the 245.
And, you know, MEC, as we were listening as well to some of the parents, what are just some of the concerns that stood out specifically for this area? We know that this Imbizo is something that the department has been doing in various regions, but looking at Tshwane specifically, some of the big red flags for you.
Tshwane mostly is gangsterism. That is really a red flag. And the fact that they're recruiting, there are some that are recruiting in primary school for grade 6 and 7 learners. One of the issues they also raised is the initiation schools, but it's not for Tshwane alone. I know that even in the Sidibeng area, in the Val, there's also a problem that these kids come back from this initiation school, then they become gangsters. They no longer respect educators, they no longer listen to adults, you know, because of what they've been told and how they are recruited. So that is one of the key aspects that I really think stood out. But the intervention, you know, what encouraged me is that there's a school that they used to find weapons every day. The chairperson of the HGP says, no, look, the school is safer now. It used to be an underperforming school sitting at about 50%. Now it's sitting at above 80% pass rate in matric. So that shows that the interventions that we've done has given learners confidence, has provided a sense of safety. Because if kids feel safe at school, they actually get to do what they have to do at school, and which is to study. But if they don't feel safe, they actually don't come to school, they avoid school because they don't know what's going to happen to them. So that's what we look for, to provide that particular sense of safety and to ensure that actually teaching and learning does actually take place. And it has been taking place in that school, and the results are there to be seen by all.
Well, thank you very much for your time, MEC. Hugo, if you just allow me just to speak to one of the principals here, the principal of Lesedi Secondary School in the North Gauteng region, just to get a sense on the ground. You heard what the MEC had to say about the struggles, but as a principal, you also raised some of the concerns mimicking what the MEC said, and this is the issue of gangsterism. Just paint a quick picture for us of just how that is plaguing the schooling environment, specifically at Lesedi Secondary School.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You know, in our school, we are trying so hard to implement the school learners' code of conduct within the school premises. We are one of those schools that have been doing well in terms of discipline. However, as the school grows bigger, we are seeing a new phenomenon now at the end of the contact hours, when learners have to board, you know, buses to, you know, back home. That is where we start to see a growing, you know, number of learners fighting outside. And recently we had an incident where a pepper spray was applied in one of the buses, where learners, you know, were in trouble because the two gangs were fighting. And when we called police, we then realized, after interrogation with that particular boy, that there were actually more than 24 gangsters outside. They fear to practice their gangsterism within the school premises. But when they go out, where they board their buses back home, that is where I'm always forced to stand outside to monitor every now and then, when, you know, after school, to ensure that learners are safe when they board the bus back home. That's the biggest challenge that we are experiencing right now as a school.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Tate. Just listening today, there's some of the societal ills that are spilling into the schooling environment, specifically gangsterism, something that the Education Department says it will continue to target, specifically about the issue that it seems these gangs are recruiting learners from schools directly to be a part of this. But for now, back to you, Hugo, as we try and get more reaction from what the MEC had to say to this community.
Veronica, thank you so much for that update. Just very quickly before we let you off, any concerns from the parents, any contribution on some of the factors that result in their children turning to these gangs and how they're coping or dealing with it?
Well, Hugo, the picture that was painted for some of the parents was the reality of the fact that most of these children are joining these gangs for safety and security. They say that because it has, grown to such a phenomenon in the community that they are forced to join these branches of these gangs that are forming inside schools for their own protection and for their own safety. And this is, of course, speaking to the MEC's call for the SAPS to also now start taking its work seriously in terms of crushing crime within the community so that it no longer spills into the education sector, and of course saying that importance of police visibility. Another issue that was raised by parents as well, Hugo, was the role of the Amapanyaza. You understand that these were safety wardens, but many today have questioned specifically where they are in terms of the schooling community and how they are failing essentially to assist with their presence in terms of, patrolling schools, stopping the vandalism and the crime that is happening within school premises.
Veronica, Makhoali, appreciate your time.